Episode 4, Map Views of the GGDI in 7 Gens. Hello, my name is Samantha McCarthy, and I'm the innovator of the Global Green Democracy Initiative, or GGDI, 7 Gens, and I am also the face and voice of @Sammy71Earth YouTube channel that was developed so that I can go through the entire textbook, the Global Green Democracy Initiative, and all the different projects and programs, debunk misinformation, and answer questions about the system. I live in a small city called Thunder Bay in northwestern Ontario, Canada, and I'm a wife of over 30 years to my life partner and a mother of 2 grown adults, and have been concerned about the environment as well as the health and social outcomes for future generations for most of my life. Please watch the videos in order, as I have set the textbook and videos in a way that will make it easier for readers and watchers to be able to understand. You can't skip or miss videos or chapters because each element is relevant to the entire system. Each element is linked to the next, so if you miss some, you miss a big part of how it works. But also the GGDI has a goal to heal humanity and move our world to sustainability, so the whole system is a means to an end. This is the 4th episode of the Global Green Democracy Initiative textbook podcast, which will now go over the overview of the GGDI and 7 Gens maps. I have to disclose that I will be introducing the map systems. I can't introduce all the map parts until after the 58 episodes have been gone through, and actual systems or elements. It is important to introduce the elements in programming, and once all of these introductions have been made, then the reader or the watcher will be introduced to how each and every part that is a partnership to another will be explained. I didn't expand on the maps chapter because there's just too much information. And I had it at the beginning when I wrote the textbook, but found that there was just too much duplication for explaining, and that on itself would be too confusing, so this episode is a better option. The whole system is systems within systems and partnerships. And we can't start discussing this until you understand what the programs I am talking about and how and why we need to invest into them. Also, each program is an answer to what is wrong with our world. In order to heal humanity and our world, we have to attack it from many different angles and different programs and projects. Our solution is not singular, it is multi-pronged. Only once we understand that we have to invest in social, health, housing, addictions, chronic diseases, mental health, democracies, and the environment, and build an economy for our children and future generations, will it all come together. We need to build a system that is resistant to autocratic and communist governments trying to force their way of thinking on us. We need to build our system to be strong with other like-minded countries so that this global hate of dominance will no longer threaten our way of life. People need to understand that a large part of our global discourse is because the 1% own our media networks, and they have failed in their huge responsibilities to the people of our countries. Free speech is so important, but spreading lies, hate, and propaganda has caused our world to be in this global mess. We have watched in real time what supporting this form of media has done to the USA, and it has pitted families against each other and has elected the current occupant of the White House through spreading hate, lies, and propaganda. We need the 99% to come together and fix our world because the 1% won't and refuse to fix their mess. The gross hoarding of their wealth while refusing to support the system will enable the 1% to buy everything up while the rest of us become desperate to survive. But it does not have to be that way. We can build a system where everyone is supported, has affordable housing, a non-poisonous food chain, and we can stop industry from the global destruction of our environment, air, land, and water, the destruction of our wildlife around us, and realize that this system that the 1% have shoved down our throats can be changed to people, the environment, wildlife, sustainable world for all to thrive and save ourselves. We have to deal with the uncomfortable feelings, even painful conclusions, that we have to choose our pain. There is 2 very difficult choices to make. 1, our global destruction because it seems harder to change, thinking we don't have the financial ability to change or have the input of our future. Or 2, accept that change is painful, but our global demise is not an option, that we have to come to terms that we have to change our focus and realize in order to build our new world, we can build our system worker-focused and earth-focused, one that pays good money, has benefits and pensions, but also in shifting our global goal and destiny, we need people, and we, the 99%, can build a new focused world, one that is people over profits. Global demise is unavoidable if we don't change, and it's coming soon. In order to view where the programs are, you need to be introduced to elements or the maps, and the system maps will be overwhelming and confusing. There are systems within systems within systems, and each program has several other programs within it. But to build a seamless system and a true recycled system and get us out of our global mess, but also give people a better world, we need to introduce the relationships they have together. But that won't be until later to make it easier to understand. I will start with the full map system, such as the standard view. This system has both GGDI and 7gens programming. It also has lines that show the partnerships. It is overwhelming, and I can't start talking about all of these relationships until the end of the book. I will be speaking of them as I go through them, trying to build a picture and understanding for you. But it is a huge system, so you will need to be patient. Also, look at how complicated it looks. Now understand that I have to speak of every area, every element in programming. So now you can understand why there are so many episodes, and some are long and some are short. The standard view includes 3 different kinds of countries. They're broken down this way because Canada has a different social structure than, say, the USA. Canada has a tax-based healthcare system, and women have total autonomy over their bodies and choice. In the US, they have a for-profit system, and women are losing their autonomy and choice and are dying for no reason, but white religious men have decided they have power over them. This is criminal. But this is just my opinion. But to have the same programming would be useless. The money needs to have its needs met of that country. So instead, the structure is the same, but where the funds are focused will be different, as the countries have different needs. So this makes the system look so big, but it is just because the programs are country-specific, and I had to separate them. Also within the standard view, there are 3 different types of countries. We have A, Canada; B, developed country, say for example Sweden. I would have used the US, but they are quickly slipping into a dictatorship if the American people don't wake up. The current administration is not compatible with the mission of the GGDI initiative or 7gens, and I am sad to say this, and never in my lifetime would I have thought we would see this happening there. But here we are. I also never thought I would hear the same hate and rhetoric here in Canada, especially from our brothers and sisters in Alberta. But here we are, having American media organizations or so-called news infiltrating our houses, spreading hate, intolerance, division, and racism here. It's causing this hate to leach into our country. And here we are. I guess just like our US counterparts, our cushy lives are making us forget how very special or privileged we are compared to other countries across the world. And instead of building on what we have around us, we start screaming hate and separation at each other. But we, as the 99%, will only get out of this mess industry has gotten us into by having those with research and development, training and vision at the table, building our new world. The 1% are trying to figure out how to replace us with AI and have no plans for us when there will be no jobs, not to mention the global warming threat that is coming at us. Instead of listening to their hate and division, we need to open our minds and take responsibility for our world. Stop listening to the lies and realize that we have to build a system that will have a shorter work week but make a livable wage. Build our new homes with recycled material that is stronger and mildew resistant and fire retardant as well. The 1% have no plans for us or our kids. They buy governments to be able to destroy our world while brainwashing us that working together is bad. But this is their plan, and if we're divided, we are easier to control. But if we stand together, they have to change. So I built in the programs and systems that will meet the bulk of the needs to get us there. Number 3, democratic developing countries. There are criteria for them to meet in order to have a partnership within the system. This is discussed at length in their chapter, but a couple non-negotiable criteria are to be a democratic country that gives women, girls, and the LGBTQ2S communities equal rights. It is the year 2025, and this division is destroying our world. Women make up 50% of the world, but are controlled by men globally. Our minority communities are treated as less than and have less value, but this is the man's concept of control. It is hate and division, and that is why our world is on this current destructive path. It does not matter what, how, or who you are, we are all going to be devastated by our global demise. And instead of continuing this hateful division, we need to come together and lift up our minority countries. It is time for the 99% to decide that the world has to change, And in changing, we have a responsibility to developing countries, as it is their world too, and we need to build a world where it is heaven on earth for all. Then and only then will we be the best of what we can be, because we will see everyone that lives on this earth as our earth family. The developing countries will go through 2 phases. Phase 1 happens when they partner with the Global Green Democracy Initiative and are democratic and meet all the standards, so that the developing country tithe will start their processing of their garbage and investments into sanitation and clean water, as well as the other programs in the earth disposal tax element. Once the country agrees to the mission for the people they serve, then they have to also agree to implement the whole system, and that is phase 2. This plan is not immediate. It will take generations to get up and running in certain areas and faster in others. It is not a short-term fix. It is a long-term investment to build a world for us and future generations. Nothing will come easy, and it will be hard. There are some different programs in the developing country until their education and trades are designed and working, and once they can do it for themselves, they will be equal in all areas with their developed countries they partner with. The goal is for these countries to have control of themselves with good-paying jobs and great lives free of poverty and corruption. This next map, 7 Gens, is only for 7 Gens programs and projects, and some of them are connected with the GGDI programs. So you need to understand that the whole system is attached to each other. That way, we have enough people making the system accountable to everyone, not just a few making irresponsible decisions. This is our world too, and there are way more of us than them. And if the 1% won't get on board, then we will build it ourselves. If the 1% choose to maintain this unsustainable system, then they will become the new dinosaurs. We can't let them do what they are doing. It's a crime against humanity and every living being on Earth. 7 Gens is going to be my baby, but the really big programs will be done through the government, because we have to ensure that our new world has accountability and standards. It is time for us to decide what is the pain we want. I choose building a sustainable world for all and improving all forms of our health. We have to remember that if the naysayers are wrong, we are all doomed. But if I am wrong, we will have a cleaner, sustainable world for all, and I will not gamble on their uninformed vision and beliefs. It is coming to the time where we don't have much time to start the transition to a sustainable world before our Mother Earth is pushed beyond her limits. In this next map, you'll see the Earth Disposal Tax, EDT. It's green, and it is the only mandatory part of the system. There are different programs in A, Canada, B, developed, and C, developing countries, and they will be discussed in their chapters and are separated for you to see. In Canada, in the EDT, GGDI programs, there is environmental programs to build a true recycle system and green energy, investments in First Nation diabetes and chronic disease, with traditional medicines and treatment education shared and done safely so it becomes the mainstream in healthcare. I've already done the proposal and design. Trauma and addiction centers, First Nation focus with land-based teaching, autoimmune research and development, and affordable or free treatments to take the profit out of healthcare. In B, developed and C, developing countries, maps will have their GGDI programs, and their focus is on environmental programs to build a true recycled system, while the 7 Gens programs will be invested in women and children health and reproductive clinics. There will be differences in them. For example, to accelerate knowledge and training sharing in the C, developing countries, we will build residence beside for students with housing and food included in learning. Other programs will be Clean Water Initiative and building a food system to stop food waste and a pathway for composting, and taking care of high-risk populations in mind, example schools, homeless shelters, and lowering farmers' costs by putting them in the pathway so that they can feed their livestock with healthy local foods and pass those savings on to the consumer. This investment is required so that we stop wasting food when people are starving. It's morally wrong to let food rot in the landfill instead of feeding children in schools or people starving on our streets. The Earth Disposal Tax is to ensure that we have a tremendous amount of money investing to ensure that we make the changeover to a cleaner, sustainable, and self-reliant world with good jobs. The days of abusing workers with poverty wages and poor working conditions is over. We will label these these very important jobs as essential services and reward them like they deserve. In this map, element 2, Instant Earth Investment Rebate, or IEIR, is an element map with two different colors of blue, a dark and a light, each representing their own set of programs or contributions to the system. This is the largest chapter and will require the most patience, but we need to go through it extensively for you to understand. It has its own set of goals, but this is also where we will be making our own banking system to make purchases for the masses easier and non-predatory, the complete opposite of our current one. This map also has all of the other parts or elements found elsewhere in the system. IEIR also includes partnerships with number 4 sales, which is brown, number 1 earth disposal tax EDT, which is green. So at some point you will learn about an element that has not been introduced yet and won't be for a while. Also, A, Canada, and B, developed countries will have the same programming because in theory they should have similar education systems already in place. And C, developing countries, we will share with them our systems so that they can start moving to this new sustainable model with ease. It is not fair to expect them to be able to start up when it will take years to build this world to be self-sustainable and not dependent anymore. I will speak of their programs after, since they are not the same as A, Canada, and B, developed countries. And these will be spoken about separately as well. This is why the relationships between elements will be a later set of videos after you've learned about the book elements. Be patient, and that is why it will take a long time to watch and learn the whole system. IEIR will also be where people will be able to direct their donations for tax breaks once we get our charitable status. But for full disclosure, the money at the beginning will be to get the corporation up and running. I can't do this by myself. But also, once all the experts are sitting at the table sharing knowledge, we can then start designing our new world. I do not proclaim to be an expert in all of these areas. I can only educate you on what I was gifted with and try to explain it in a way that you see what I see. I see a new sustainable world for us and our kids. I see hope. I don't see fear. I see equality and a fair and equitable world so that we stop the hate and destruction that is consuming our world. We need to build a reverse financial system that is fair to all. This part for the investment area will also partner with number 5 interest elements, that is purple, but that's another layer and system. That is what I mean when I say that there are systems within systems. In this area, money will be used to build programs and projects for sale in this element. In the light blue GGDI area, we will be investing in university and college partnerships for a new environmental certification course to build our new world, changing the focus on educating students with the goal that they will work with industry or our programs to meet this new focus and direction. We will be investing in research and development, environmental cleanup, and partnerships. For C, developing countries, programs will be different to begin with until they have the system in place to mirror A, Canada, and B, developed countries. And I chose this program and pathway to start with. We will have investments in elder care for people with dementia and Alzheimer's, and any leftover monies will be funneled into any other need not already spoken of in the GGDI system. That way, the money will be used in a way that will benefit their people. The dark blue will discuss the purchases and go through the stages of execution of the system in its chapter. It will take generations to complete all the work needed to build our new world. This is where people will be able to buy green products or gift to underserviced communities and get a tax receipt once we qualify for our charity status so that we can encourage as many people in saving our world as we can. It is all about raising as much money as possible to reach our goal to benefit all living life forms. 7-Gen programs are environmental, for example, removal of clothes and fabric from manufacturing from our landfills and stop the leaching of dyes and toxins into our land and groundwater. Build processing plants so that we can make it into a resellable product or used to be made into clean energy. Another project I'm passionate about is making free menstrual products so that our periods don't remove us from our education or employment settings. We will donate fabric from project number 1 to project number 2 in this part of the system. The goal is to manufacture period products and get a tax break for the donation. I've designed a new system of ethical responsibility and to change the face of manufacturing, provide livable wages, benefits, and pensions. The days of destroying countries and lives for the 1% are over. It is morally and ethically wrong, and this is why the world is in this horrible position, that if we devalue life in one area, we devalue it across the world. Another program is to invest in accurate history, even if it makes some uncomfortable. And Another program is to build animal overpasses to prevent as many deaths on our roads as possible. We will also use that money to invest in green energy program already invested and spoken about in Canada, which will be the largest green energy production project to replace fossil fuels as quickly as possible. The next map I'm going to speak of is number 3, Tourist Footprint Tax, or TFT, and it's red. And it is a tax paid by tourists so that the footprint they leave on the country they visit is erased. This tax money will enable countries to have the ability to handle the damage from tourists, but also ensures that their people have money invested in them to make their lives better. For example, the clean drinkable water. The GGDI programs invested in will be reforestation and nature conservation and protection, upgrading landmarks, adding money to clean water and frontline jobs covering the waste and damage made by tourists. The 7-Gen programs will be to expand wetlands and sacred lands and migration, stop contracts that threaten to devastate ecosystems, and use money to heal and clean waterways and beaches. It is important for travelers to take care of the countries they visit, but it is our responsibility to become the stewards of this world that we were always supposed to be. The next map is interest, number 5, and it is purple. And this is where we will use the money we make to pay for the fixed costs in the system. Currently, all the money goes to the top or is funneled into the stock market or stock buybacks or bonuses for those who don't need it. And it is kept there, but the GGDI system will enable us to get as much money to accelerate how many people we can hire and programs to invest in, or pay for pensions or benefits or whatever we need to. Number 4, sales, that's brown. It also includes partnerships with number 2, IEIR, dark and light blue, and number 1, earth disposal tax, which is green. So it will take a few videos for you to see what I see. All monies left over will be funneled to number 6, health and social programming, which is pink. The GGDI programs will be to stop racial inequities and to make sure that the system works for everyone. Investments to stop trafficking of women and girls, invest in affordable housing and training and employment, invest in convicting offenders of women and children hate crimes of rape, trafficking, and murder. We have to ensure that all lives matter and convict those who steal the lives of their victims. No one consents to be trafficked or abused. They need to have access to programs that will change the trajectory of their lives to one that heals abuse and makes the transition easier for victims. 7Gen's programs are ones I'm very passionate about. A universal pension plan, UPP, for all people, regardless of where they work. A 7Gen's Global Lending Fund for non-discriminatory banking and investments in strengthening democracies around the world. The funnel of the system is number 6, health and social programs that range from all different kinds of shortcomings in our system. The programs don't need embellishment on because they will improve the lives regardless of demographic. The First Nation map, or First Nation division, and is the color teal, is for First Nation people to be sitting at our table and helping to bring forward traditional teachings in our entire system, to bring us back to grassroots, to help us reconnect to our shared Mother Earth. This will help us with reconciliation and moving forward as equals. And the 3 programs we will invest in are number 1, housing, 2, clean water, and 3, healthy, affordable food grown locally. Every one of the programs will make our world a better place, and we as a whole have to decide what pain we choose. Continue on the same suicide path, or come to terms that change will be painful but necessary, and the 1%'s negligence will no longer be tolerated, and the current corrupt system will no longer be supported. That we, the people, have impact on where our world will be going and have a say in how it goes. But doing nothing is no longer an option. These maps are complicated, but will be gone through thoroughly through their chapters. If you are interested in saving our earth and promoting human rights and equality, please spread the word, share the videos, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and purchase the textbook and follow along. And donations to help me grow my business so that we can start the process of healing humanity and moving our world to sustainability. My website will be up and running soon, and we'll have the ebook available at a discounted price I could not offer anywhere else. There will be areas to donate as well, and you can choose which program or business, for example, GGDI, 7Gens, or my foundation. I want to thank you for your time and for taking the time to learn about my dream for us, the 99% to have our best life. Please like and follow me on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and follow and subscribe to my YouTube channels at Sammy71 Earth, at Global Green Democracy Initiative, and at 7Gens. You can also follow along and subscribe to my newsletter that will be up and available soon in 2025, and the sign up will be on my website once it's up and running. Thanks again.